Every story needs a hero, but what if the heroes just aren't cutting it? Today, we're taking a look at the top 10 anime where the MC is not the hero. Let's just hope that's not a bad thing. Number 10. For the first anime on our list, we have The Rising of the Shield Hero. Does it surprise anyone that this famous anime made its way on here? The Rising of the Shield Hero chronicles the journey of Naofumi Iwatani in a new world where he's greeted by a heinous #MeToo movement by the very kingdom that summoned him. Now, while that sounds mighty annoying to deal with as an MC, it does a really good job of getting you into his shoes, a very important thing that many successors of this niche fail to do. The pacing lead to the initial betrayal and the way Naofumi himself deals with the fallout. It all leads to a very palpable anger. Due to all that, the journey itself with Raphtalia ends up being therapeutic, not just to Naofumi, but even to us as an audience. The ending music for Season 1 will always have a special place in my heart for its calming tune, a perfect bookend to each episode, which usually consists of Naofumi inevitably helping those who need it. Just a true journey for the rise of a true hero, no matter what others may say. With heartfelt character interactions and development alongside great action and world building, make sure you check this one out if you haven't already. Number 9.
そうそう、転生したのは片田舎の貴族、影の男爵家。魔剣士と呼ばれる魔力で体を強化して戦う騎士を代々輩出する家系だ。
Next up from the shadows, we have the Eminence in Shadow. Amongst all the others on this list, I have no doubt that Cid Kageno is capable of beating them all, for all shall be under who carries the mantle of shadow. But none of that really matters since all Cid cares about is being the best darn Eminence in Shadow. Now you may be wondering what that weeaboo phrase even means. Well, it just refers to those mysterious characters who are neutral, not necessarily evil, and definitely not the hero. They actually make an appearance in pivotal moments to thwart villains with their absolute power or make the hero realize just how weak they are, making moves in the shadows, shaping the very world without having the world know. A superpower cloaked in mystery.
かつて核に挑んだ男がいた。男は肉体を鍛え、精神を鍛え、技を鍛えた。
And with that, Cid of course needs the one thing necessary to conquer the world, a harem of cute waifus. Along the way of Cid's rise to power, he picks up a wide variety of waifus in need. First and greatest of them is Alpha, who he saves from her failed audition for the slime anime. Between the operations of Cid's group Shadow Garden and his own misadventures as a regular mob character during the day, there is a ton of fun to be had. That's right, you may think the sections where he isn't being a badass are boring, but Cid gathers a ton more attention in his everyday life as he strives to be the world's greatest side character. Now that I'm thinking about it, it sounds kinda silly. And it is. And it's filled with amazingly epic set pieces and action moments that could only be ever made possible with Cid Kageno. And from his shadow shall rise.
Lesson 3. まだまだこれからだ。
Number 8.
マハの情報通りだったな。
お金の流れを追ったら出所不明の莫大な利益が生まれていたの。山賊を装って村を襲い、少女を誘拐して他の貴族に売る。許せないわ。
For number 8, we have the world's finest assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat. Speaking of shadows, another who should be familiar with, it is the world's greatest assassin. Yeah, we don't really know his name. It's a good thing he ended up dying and respawning in another world. Born anew as Rugu Toahade, the finest assassin is given one last target: the hero, the fantasy world he's now in. Mixing together his lifelong knowledge as an assassin and the video game knowledge he probably got in his off time, he perfectly min-maxes his new body to ensure he can accomplish his mission. Thankfully, as an added courtesy from the hot goddess who gave his task, he's born into the aristocratic Tuahade family.
キア、この子もトゥアハーデにしてしまうの？
この国にはトゥアハーデが必要だ。暗殺でなければ取り除けない病巣がある。
私は嫌です。
This family happens to have a lineage of being the kingdom's very own assassins, working for the good of the crown. Not everyone comes easy though. Despite being able to pick his traits earlier, it was only a limited amount that he himself has to nurture through his hard work. But at least he can be thankful to the goddess once again for allowing him to come into contact with a fine collection of waifus, who eventually joins his harem to help in his mission. May it be the dirty tactics in fighting or even manipulating his own companions, Ryugu Tuahade will stop at anything to finally be free from his final mission of getting rid of the hero.
本当にあいつが勇者というなら殺してしまうのは問題かもしれない。だがここで暗殺できなければどの道終わりだ。
Number 7.
南雲ももっと努力すべきだ。俺なら少しでも強くなるために空いてる時間を鍛錬に当てるよ。
Now for number 7, we have Arifureta, from commonplace to world's strongest. Very similar to our first entry, Hajime Nagumo's story in Arifureta truly encapsulates the phrase from commonplace to world's strongest. Being isekai alongside his classmates and teacher, Hajime had a hard time before and even after entering the new world, for being a complete weeaboo while being simped for by the class beauty Karoi. He was pretty much seen as an enemy by others in class. Add to this having spawned in with a commonplace job that has him with average stats, his life is anything but blessed. Luckily, he is eventually blessed with a pocket lolly waifu who has enough thirst for him to empty oceans. All Hajime had to go through is betrayal and falling down through a whole damn labyrinth.
なんか魔物みてえだ。ステータスプレートを確認してみるか。魔物を食うと一気にレベルが上がるのか。
This leads him to having to channel his inner Bear Grylls and survive monster attacks and limb loss. Figuring out how to properly make use of his power, he just barely allows himself to power up and grind all the way to the blonde lolly that awaits him. The rest of the series is essentially them gathering more women to their harem as they travel the world, finding a way to escape and go back to Japan. He's also pretty much turned into a god with pistols and other modern-day weapons. Despite his newfound strength, he still prefers returning to his anime than trying to save the world with a bunch of a-holes who left him for dead. Number 6.
殴った。俺を誰だと思っている。
すいません。でも誰であろうと礼儀知らずは許されないです。
At the halfway point with number 6, we have trapped in a dating sim, the world of otome games is tough for mobs. Finally, a less edgy entry with a bit less stakes. Trapped in a dating sim is all about the fantasy of letting the hierarchy have it. Having been forced into playing an otome game by his sister in the modern world, our MC could not have possibly guessed that it would lead him to a world where the matriarchy is in fact real. Reborn as Leon Fobartford in the Whole Fort Kingdom, he is left to fend for himself as he navigates in this world with his high knowledge of the game world. Even his new father is nothing but a slave as he relies on an old grandma to maintain the title of lowly baron. Eventually, despite his efforts on trying to live peacefully, he is threatened with an arranged marriage to a living raisin.
何がって50歳で結婚7回しかも夫は全員戦士完全に遺族年金狙いだろ
不運が重なっただけですよ
With all the motivation he could ever need, he sets out to find a luxury item he remembered from playing the game, a spaceship. While the journey was long and filled with robo-battles, he eventually gets what he needs and finally has all he needs to get this anime started. Slowly revealing himself as an arrogant jackass throughout the story, his journey to battle the aristocratic hierarchy is one to behold, as Leon is a mix of both vast smarts and merciless cunning. And since it's a dating sim, what better way to stick it up to the princess of the world than taking both heroine and villainess?
ここがマスターの家ですか？ああ、しがない浮島だけど帰り道でがっつり収穫あったし。
Before we move on, what do you think about the anime settings so far? To be honest, they're all pretty much a living hell. So how do you think you'd fare in our protagonist's unfortunate circumstances? Leave a comment down below for your thoughts, we'd love to see them. And if it isn't any bother, leave a like too, and hit that subscribe button. You'd definitely be a hero in our eyes. Number 5.
ここが俺のついの住処となっても構わない。アルファにしてオメガ。俺はここで死ぬまで怠惰に暮らす。
Getting back to work with number 5, we have the Dungeon of Black Company. Kenji Ninomiya thought he'd finally reach his peak after working hard his whole life to be able to invest in crypto and live a cushy, neat life with passive income. Sadly for him, he's instantly taken hostage by a black hole that brings him to a fantasy Japan where he has no choice but to slave away at a black company. Just in case you're unaware, a black company pretty much refers to a workplace that has zero respect for your humanity and just needs you to work. Now, while for the average Japanese man, this would mean a life of no future, Kenji Ninomiya has risen from this exact point before and he shall do so again.
先月の成績結果出たんだが聞きたいか？いや別に。別にじゃねえだろ。ノルマ達成率 15% って冗談にもならねえ。
This anime is all about him giving the system and using his modern world knowledge to take advantage of others and find a way to stand on top of the black company. He comes across more people to recruit as well, some bro, mostly waifu. They all eventually end up looking up to his ingenuity for the most part. With a couple of bumps and bruises along the way, and maybe even some time travel, you can sit back and laugh along as Kenji climbs the mountain to his neat dream once again in another world.
さあ、楽しいお仕事の時間だ。働け働けボケども。ほら返事はどうした。はい、喜んで。
Number 4.
怪我が治るまで精一杯ご奉仕します。
奉仕って。
私、あそこの食堂で働いてるアルラルって言います。
アルラル？
はい。
Answering our prayers at 4 is Kamikatsu, working for God in a goddess world. You might be thinking we're showing you a special episode of Attack on Titan, but this anime couldn't be any more different with our MC Yukito Urabe in an unjust land making use of a powerful god to protect his friends and annihilate all threats. Now that I think about it, maybe it's kinda similar in ways. Having been killed in a ritual by the army of titans working for his cult leader father, Yukito is reborn in a world where religion doesn't exist. While he was doing much better in the modern world, living in a village and making real close friends, it eventually comes crashing down. You see, in a world without religion, people's lives aren't seen as too important. When the population reaches a certain point, citizens voluntarily just end themselves.
今回の修正、滞りなく完了した。
Now, of course, there are those who oppose this barbaric way, and those people include the village our MC has been staying in. Deviants of society. Instead of volunteering, they're essentially enlisted for death. Picked to die as the government deems it. While Yukito is far from a hero and closer to an everyday dude, he does care for his friends and the life he's made for himself in the new world. And so, the only answer is to channel what brought him here in the first place: religion. Looking upon the cultist necklace he was given in his original life, he prays to the god that once tormented his life, now to save his friends. And so, she descends. The lolly god Mitama. Make sure to give this one a watch for a nice comedy-filled journey where Yukito and his friends try and build a religion in a godless world. Even with a doggy budget at times, you can really feel the love every episode this anime gives, and you just have to see it to believe it. Number 3.
それってどういう意味？
口うるさくてガサツだけどスタイルはマジで理想的なんだよな。特にこの太もも、めっちむちの太ももが。
For the next legendary entry, we have the legendary hero is dead. Keeping pace with the nonsense level of comedy from our previous entry, the legendary hero is dead is all about comedy, adventure, and radishes? As the title implies, Toka Sukot is not the hero. In fact, he's an average farmer with no real quirks besides his love for thighs and radishes, which happen to look like them. And of course, knee socks too. What are legs for if not for knee socks? All this uselessness is made apparent when the village gets attacked by a demon, with Toka being powerless to stop them. Thankfully, the hero Sion comes to the rescue, and this isn't the first time since he has good rep with both the village and Toka's girl.
勇者様、ありがとうございます。
ユナさんが無事でよかったです。
私のこと覚えて？
もちろんです。3年ぶりですね。
As he seethes with jealousy, he's quickly reminded of another thing he's good at, making traps. Good enough to end up killing the hero Sion. With the whole village worried for their safety as one of their own just murdered the hero, they all decide to just bury the body and hope things pass. Sadly for Toka, things don't pass easy as he wakes up the next day in Sion's body to realize he's taken the hero's life in more ways than one. The rest of the anime follows Toka as he tries desperately to play the hero. Getting help along the way, it's an adventure of comedy, action, and knee-high stockings you just can't look away from.
この村で知っているのは俺だけ。自作のダセ衣装まで用意して笑えたぜ。あれ？ユナリン？ユナリン！
あんたがトーカだってことは分かったわ。
Number 2.
先生、じゃあゲーマーだったしね。ちょっといつまでも同じ場所にいても仕方ないし、なんか食べ物でも探そっかな。腹が減ってはなんちゃらって言うしね。レッツゴー。
Crawling into number 2, we have So I'm a Spider. So what? Hiro Wakaba is just your typical high school outcast, shy, introverted, and spends most of her time playing video games. So, just like you, probably. But she was also referred to as Queen, evidence of just how cold she was in dealing with social interactions. In any other rom-com universe, she might just be the perfect character to be an MC, but sadly in this anime, her whole classroom blows up, kickstarting a group isekai adventure. Typically unfortunate for our not-so-hero MC, Hiro, she's inexplicably reincarnated as a spider instead of a human. And so begins the journey of a little spider that could witnessing the horrors of cannibalism and every problem you can think of when one lives the life of a mere arachnid in a fantasy world. Thankfully, the isekai gods still exist and do bless her with your typical isekai power cheats. Somewhere else in the world, Wakaba's other classmates begin their own journey as reincarnated. This includes Shunsuke Yamada, now known as Shalane, Zagan Analit, the fourth prince of the Kingdom of Analit, and the one who shall become Hiro. Even if you aren't a current fan of isekai, I can attest that this is the one of the more unique and well-crafted ones of the bunch. With complex world building and character personalities, it's a series that is bound to stick your butt on your chair.
シュレイン・ザガン・アナレイト様だって。天才って言われてるらしいが、パッと見そんなに強そうには見えないな。
Number 1.
ケアルはどんなクラスに目覚めるかしら。剣士？魔術師？もしかして勇者にだって選ばれるかもしれないわよ。
そんなすごいクラスを得られればいいけど。そしたら
And finally, for the last spot on our list, we have Redo of Healer. How could we leave out the absolute best example of not being a hero? We've all heard at least some of the stories, and if you haven't, well, basically you shouldn't be watching this one with anyone else in the room. Just like a couple of others on this list, our MC Keiyaru is betrayed, but not like the others, it was in a much crueler world. The ones who betrayed him did pretty much every heinous thing you can think of, and early on too. As he was given the title of Healing Hero, he faced discrimination, and basically turned into a dog on two legs. Being constantly overdosed by healing potions, he was given to stay obedient. He eventually became immune, but still bid his time for an opportunity. The opportunity became as the hero party faced off against the Demon King. Dealing the final blow, he acquires the power to reverse time and declare revenge on his party, proving to us just how much he wants it. Keiyaru goes through the same hell he already did, all for the sake of the grind set. Eventually, he does break free of the drugs again, finally being able to unleash hell on those who wronged him. Many scoff at this anime for being nothing more than a guilty pleasure, but it is one of the better ones for giving more than enough reason behind the rampage.
やり直した世界でお前が俺をどう呼ぶか。ヒール。
Just like the MCs on this list, it's never too late to be a hero. And you can be a hero too by clicking that super thanks button on this video. It would really mean a lot. But that's all for this list. So, did the last entry sate your thirst? Join us again next time in our never-ending journey through the wonderful varied world of anime. Maybe less bleak and steamy next time, eh? Remember to subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and make sure to leave a like and comment down below. Cheers!